Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. This is episode 29. I'm your host, Christy Rosario, here in Los Angeles, with my co-host all the way from New York City, the boxing prophet, Richard Solomon. How you doing, Prophet?
Doing great. Still recuperating from a wild weekend of pay-per-view action, and I can't wait to discuss it all with you.
It's going to be exciting. Wow, what a weekend, huh? All right, we have live callers. If you guys want to call us at 347-324-5998, you can call and you can agree or disagree with us. You can Twitter us at Real Combat Media. My Twitter is Boxing Girl, BXINGIRL. And then we have at Boxing Prophet 68 to the Boxing Prophet. Find us on Facebook at Real Combat Media in the search bar. Our topics today, well, we will just talk all about Mayweather and Canelo. Before that, though, we will talk about Molina and Smith. We'll talk about Cano and Theophane. We will definitely talk about my favorite, Matese and Garcia. Wow, those were quite fights, and we'll tell you what's happening. But first, I want to tell you, I'm going to introduce to you. He's going to come on first. We're going to talk for a minute for Chuy Santillan. He is the filmmaker, made a documentary called Building Champions, Los Garcias, about Robert and Mikey Garcia and their brother Danny Garcia and Eduardo, their father. The whole family is involved. Fantastic. How you doing, Chuy? Are you there?
I'm good, yes. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, it's good to have you on. You know, I planned on having you and Robert and Mikey together, but as we know, tomorrow is the press conference, and Robert and Mikey had to fly to Texas. So what I did was I pre-recorded an interview so that we all could listen to the interview. It was really interesting. It was just about an hour and a half ago, right before they got on the plane. And then we're going to come back and talk to Chuy. So, Chuy, you have a lot to talk about, don't you, about this film?
Well, yeah, I do. What do you call it? It's just a huge process, but yeah, I do. Any questions you may have, definitely, of course, I'm open to them.
We will definitely. Before I go into the interview, why don't you tell us a little bit about, I went to the screening, I loved it. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about the documentary, and then we'll go to the interview. But I'd like to hear it from you first.
Well, it's a documentary that pretty much puts the family in, talks about the family in a very positive manner. What one man's vision has become, from where he started to where he's at now. You know what I mean? It's a generational thing, but the reason why I did it was simply because it's an example. It's a person who's super ambitious and tenacious at the same time. So it caught my mind. Just the story itself. So yeah.
Now, you're talking about their father, Eduardo Garcia, right, who's the
Absolutely.
kind of the focal point? He is the center.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. It's your film.
Oh, no, I'm saying, no, you're right. You're on the right track as far as, Bob Arum calling him, a patriot of boxing, and I also, coming out of Oxnard myself, being an Oxnarder, had heard the stories of what he had done and what he was already in the process of creating. And this was before I left, which was back in 99. And, it just, created and it blew up. And Fernando Vargas was a big fighter at that time, a big public figure at that time. And yeah, it's something that, like I said, Don Eduardo had created, him, Robert, and the rest of the family had what do you call it, following steps, starting with Dan, of course. But yeah, absolutely.
Right, and so just tell us, when did you start the film? What year?
I started it 3 years ago. 3 years ago from the screening, which was 13, 12, 11, 2010. It was funny. It's funny the way it happened because I had spoken to a friend that grew up with me in Oxnard, and what happened was I talked to him. I was out here at Cal State Long Beach at that time already, and me and him grew up together. And so he was part of the group, the La Colonia boxing gym, and I didn't realize he was training, and I got back in touch with him. His name was Gonzo, and he told me, and he let me, etc. And from one thing led to another. He gave me Robert's number. I contacted Robert. We scheduled something, and basically gave him the background on what was going on, what I wanted to do. Basically my vision, and believe it or not, he was very open to it. And I just said, all right, let's do it, and grabbed my camera equipment, my lights, etc., and just went ahead and filmed. Before anything, though, the writing part of it was a challenge. So, but like I said, it was one opportunity after another.
Do you mean wait? Do you mean that you had to run along with them, or what do you mean the writing was a challenge?
No, the writing was a challenge in terms of, I didn't know what the story was until Mikey and I actually got together. Yeah.
You said the writing. Did you say you said the writing?
The writing, yeah.
Oh, I heard
formatting,
running.
the writing.
I thought maybe you were running along with them with your camera. I got you.
No. It was we met at his gym, and it's when he was training Bam Bam. And, I interviewed him after he was done with the whole sparring thing. He just kind of gave me, he opened the gym up to me. I didn't know what to expect, really. But, it was just one of those things where I was really humbled by his welcoming and by him just opening up to the interview. And, I was very, very appreciative. Definitely. All
right. Well, great. We're going to go into the interviews with our 2012 Trainer of the Year, Robert Garcia, and our champion, Mikey Garcia. And we'll go into the interviews, and then I'll come back with you. So don't go away, okay, Chuy? Stay here. We'll come right back after the interviews. We want to hear what they have to say. I'm going to turn on the interview. I know there was a 30-second lapse because when you're on this whole conference call and they're at the airport and they're rushing and they were checking in, so it will be just a minute, but I'm really excited because Mikey's on his way to fighting again Roman Rocky Martinez on the 9th of November in Corpus Christi, and we are going to look forward to that fight. So that's where they are now. Robert and Mikey are on their way to Texas to the press conference, and you'll hear about that. Here we go.
Hello.
The Garcias.
Hi, is this Mikey?
This is Robert.
Hi, Robert. How are you? It's Christy Rosario on Real
I'm
Combat.
doing, Christy. How you doing?
Boxing Radio. Good. I know it's so hectic for you guys. You're at the airport, aren't you?
Yeah, we're at the airport now, catching a flight in about 30 minutes, I would say. Mikey's already in, I think he said.
Okay. Hey, Mikey. How are
you? Hi, Chris. I'm here.
I'm so glad. You guys, thank you so much for taking the time. I didn't realize that you had to fly out. I know you have a press conference on the 19th, right, with Bob Arum?
The press conference is tomorrow in Corpus Christi, and then from tomorrow we travel to Mexico. So I think they're going to do a press conference in Mexico the 19th.
Oh, okay. So tomorrow
so
is the press conference.
Texas is tomorrow in Corpus Christi, yes.
Wow, okay. Well, thank you guys for taking the time. So I want to make sure everyone knows that we have Robert Garcia and Miguel Mikey Garcia. I'm still trying to get used to calling you Mikey, so used to Miguel. So thanks, guys. I wanted to, I went to see Building Champions, Los Garcias, and I really enjoyed the documentary. What did you guys think watching it?
I think it was great. There was some footage videos that I think I had never seen of, when we were young and Mikey being a little kid. I think those were videos that my mom was keeping as a secret and not showing us, because I don't remember seeing none of that, and it was just awesome seeing stuff like that with the family involved.
It was so cute. So when we're watching the little boy throwing the punches, that was Mikey?
Yeah, that was Mikey, and that was Mikey. He was like 2 or 3 years old, and it was just something that we had never seen. Like I'm telling you, I think something that my mom had kept stored away and not show us. I don't know why she wouldn't show us, because I had never seen that before.
Oh, your mom is great. I saw her there, and she remembered me as the referee judge. I couldn't believe it. What a wonderful woman. But I didn't hear her in the documentary. She doesn't talk at all in there, does she?
She don't talk much. She likes to stay away from the cameras and everything. She's always been like that. I don't know if we even have any videos of her around. I think I have a picture. Of in one of my fights in LA where she stepped into the ring, and the press took a picture of her giving me a kiss after the fight, and that's probably the only thing we have from her from when I was fighting, and I don't think she's been around when Mikey fights either.
Oh, my gosh. You know, it's funny because when I was competing and I was at LA Boxing, I remember you and your dad from way back when. Not that it was so far ago, but I remember you with everybody at LA Boxing. Do you miss being over there and training and getting ready?
You know, that was a great experience over there, sparring with all the great champions back in the days in LA. My dad would take us at least 2 or 3 times a week, and it was just an awesome experience. I think that's where myself and Fernando Vargas got a lot of experience with so many great sparring partners and so many great things that we learned traveling to LA.
There's so many, and you know, I was looking at your record and everything, and you fought at the Olympic Auditorium so many times, and that's history right there. You know, it's not there anymore. That is fantastic.
Yeah, well, it's just knowing that I fought there a few times. I fought at the Great Western Forum also, who doesn't do any boxing anymore or any sports there. You know, those places are just history now, and to say that I had fights there, it's just something that I could remember, and I tell my kids now, you know, those places I fought, and they don't even believe me, but you know, I still have a few posters that say, you know, where I fought, so they gotta believe me. And then, you know, just knowing that I fought on great cards with Oscar De La Hoya, with Julio Cesar Chavez, on the undercards of Mike Tyson, it was just great experience to have.
They're historic. I mean, and you know, Robert, I have to congratulate you. You are 2012 Trainer of the Year, and I believe even in 2011. What is going on with you?
Well, you know, we're staying busy. We got a lot of great fighters that listen, and we created a great team. You know, it's just not just myself and my dad with Mikey, but we also have a great team in my gym with so many great assistant coaches that do a great job when I'm gone, and in the gym when I'm there, you know, they follow instructions. And the main thing, you know, we got great fighters that listen and want to learn. And I know that whatever I say has to go. You know, it's just building myself into you know, creating a great team is the key to our success.
Well, what I appreciate is that you have all these fantastic pros, and yet you still keep your foot with the amateurs. You still bring them to shows and tournaments, and you know, I always appreciate that you do both. Do you still enjoy the amateurs?
I remember when I was a kid too. You know, I remember traveling with my dad and the coaches in Corona Boxing Club. They would take us to tournaments every weekend, and now that I'm doing the same, you know, I have over 100 kids in my gym, so they have to travel. They have to participate in tournaments, and you know, they have a dream of one day being like a Brandon Rios or a Chino Maidana or Mikey. So their dreams, you know, we have to follow up on their dreams also, taking them to tournaments. And start by winning some national titles, and then eventually turning the age where they could turn pro, and hopefully one day become the stars that they look up to, like the ones that we have up in the wall with Mikey, Margarito, Maidana, Donaire, Brandon, you know, just to name a few.
Exactly. So am I going to see you at the National PAL in Oxnard this year? Actually, it's happening in 2 weeks.
You will see me there, because I'm probably going to go and support the national team, but I don't know if my kids are going to be participating in the tournament.
Okay, well, I'm glad I'm going to see you. I want to ask you about Nonito. How is he doing after his loss to Rigo? Is he doing okay?
He's back in the gym. He's going to fight on the same card with Mikey November 9th. So we're going to meet up tonight in Texas. I had a good meeting with him last Friday in Vegas. I went to Vegas for the Canelo Mayweather fight, so I met with him on Friday, and everything was great. We had a great meeting, so we'll start training camp with him next week.
Oh, good. And have you changed things to fight Vic?
Well, with Vic, it's just totally different. Nothing compared to Rigondeaux, and when Nonito fought Vic a few years ago, I wasn't around, so Nonito's very smart, and we'll come up with a good game plan. But basically, what he did before, we should be back and do the same thing again. Even though I wasn't with him then, I think this fight is as important as the first time he fought him, because this time he's coming off a loss, and he's got to come out and prove to the world that he's still up there among the best in the world.
That is for sure. And then you had John Molina that kind of pulled off a miracle. It
was fun to watch that fight because we were watching it with a bunch of friends and losing every round, and out of a sudden he connects a punch, and that's why boxing is so beautiful. You don't win a fight until the last bell rings, and I learned it myself when I fought Ben Taki. I was pretty much beating him every round and beating him, and the last round he catches me with a left hook and drops me, and it's over. It's the love of the sport. That's just the way it is, and we can't even if it's the last round, we got to know the opponents are still hungry to beat you, and that happened to me. I'm happy that Molina pulled that one off. It was a great win for him, and I'm sure something big will come for him next.
No, John's training with you still, isn't he?
No, John is with Joe Goosen now, which is great. They have a great, they've been together for years. He's back with Joe Goosen, and I support that right there because him traveling to Oxnard was good. We guys started getting a little bit tiring for him, traveling every day, plus the hotels and everything. It's a little expensive, so I understand. We ended up in good terms. Like I'm telling you, I'm so happy for him that he won his last fight and pull off the win, because that's it's just bigger things coming for his next fight.
Yeah, I know, that's fantastic, but it's like, Robert, if you find a trainer that you click with that is great, like me and Ben Lira, I used to travel far to go to South Almani. So if you find that trainer, you got to stick with him. So I hope Johnny made the right move. I know he's moved around a lot in the last few years.
Yeah, but you know what? Honestly, I don't. I can't say. He should be with me. Because you know what? I think him and Joe Goosen make a great team. Also, Joe is a great trainer. He's done everything. He's had great champions, great fighters, and I think he could do the same with John. And right now, John needs a lot of attention. Joe Goosen has the time for him right now. I could probably say I don't have that time to be with him 100%, because of all the fighters that I have and all the guys, fighting at the HBO level or Showtime level, that it makes it a lot more hard for me to put time into guys that are not in that level. They understand that. They all understand it. So that's what helps my team out a lot. That they all understand. But I actually support his decision to be with Joe Goosen, because Joe has him 100%.
Yeah, well, that's a good way to look at it. And whatever, I wish Johnny the best too. I know he pulled off a great win in the last one. That was.
Oh, he did. It was awesome, and I was so happy for him.
I am too. So, anything else going on as far as the documentary? Is there a next step with the documentary? Are you guys still adding on? I am going to talk to Chuy a little later. But
I think Mikey is more involved in that, where because I had never seen it. I didn't know. I know that Chuy was going around interviewing, but I had never seen it. He had told me about it, but Mikey's the one that got more involved, so I'm sure Mikey could answer those questions for you, because I was just like a guest to go see the documentary. I don't know if they're still going to continue doing it or if that was the end of it. I think Mikey should answer that, and he's here, so he could answer that for you.
Okay, but Robert, I don't know. Was Danny there? Was your brother Danny at the screening as well? I didn't see him.
No, Danny was not there. All my sisters and the rest of the family were there, but Danny was not there.
Does he like that there's a documentary going on? I mean, I know that.
Well, he knows about it. Of course, they interviewed him too and everything. But you know what? I don't know. I don't know if I have no idea. I don't know the reason why he wasn't there. He he was part of it. They interviewed him. He made his he was actually a big part of it. They had a lot of time on him, on the camera. So I don't know the reason. I never until now I'm thinking about it too. Did they even tell him? Because everybody knew about it. All my sisters, they all showed up. I don't know. I'm surprised that he wasn't there also.
I know he should have been. Are you two on speaking terms? Did you get along again now?
No, well, we have no dip. Nothing against each other. We as you know, I'm very busy with my gym. I'm in my gym all day long. I travel a lot, so I don't really have all that time to spend at home. Even though we're neighbors, we don't have too much time to spend at home. I'm gone most of the time, so I don't see him that often. He works, his day job, and then he goes to the gym where in Ventura at night. So we hardly have any time to see each other.
No, I got you. But you would make the time? I mean, because when I was watching those shows and seeing that you guys weren't talking, to me it's sad, because you guys are blood. So are you now at the point where you will actually sit down and have a dinner together with your families and that kind of stuff?
No, we've done that. We've done that with my dad and my mom and all my sisters and Danny around, Mikey around, and we have. It's not like we don't do stuff like that. It's just that the work, and then my brother was really busy also with Ortiz, and now he's got a couple more fighters that he's also busy with. So we travel a lot. We hardly, I don't. It's also the same thing with all my sisters. It's not like I'm with my sisters every day, all day long. I see my sisters because they come work out in my gym. But besides that, we hardly have time to spend weekends together or stuff like that because we're just too busy. I'm with all the work that I have and all the fighters, most of every weekend I'm gone.
Yeah, well, your family, I mean, wow, what a talented family. Your father, Eduardo, looks fantastic. I never saw him look so, fit and trim.
Yeah, you were telling me, and a lot of people have always, every time they see my dad, the first thing they ask, a lot of people are, is he okay? He's not sick, right? I'm like, no, he's healthier than 10, 15 years ago, because you remember him 10, 15 years ago,
yes.
He was well overweight and never took care of himself. But the last few years, he started taking care of himself, eating healthy and exercising, and he's he's doing much better now than he was 10, 15 years ago.
I'm so happy. Yeah, I do remember him, and he was always a very handsome man, but like you said, he was overweight, and when I saw him at the screening, I just thought he looked very fit. I thought you were holding the mitts, getting him ready to fight, because he looked so good. Well, Mikey, why don't you tell me then, how did you meet Chuy and get involved with the documentary?
He actually went to Robert's gym first, and Robert gave him my number, and he mentioned to me the project, the idea, and I got really interested in it, and I started getting more involved as we went along, and as I started to see little bits and clips of what he wanted to do, and just I could kind of see his vision. I got more interested in it, and that's what I started to help out and get more involved. And so far we've been doing a really good thing. I think it's pretty fun. It hasn't been easy, and a lot of time has been put into the whole process. But I think we're almost ready to completely finish it. We're a couple details that we gotta fix and edit a little bit, but I'm pretty happy with the outcome.
So you were happy when you were sitting there and you watched the screening and you saw everyone's reactions? You were happy with that?
Yes. At first I was a little scared, thinking, what if people don't, like it, or what if, we don't get the response from the people, and after watching it, I really liked the way people responded. I liked the way, everybody was interested in actually the whole film. It wasn't something that people got tired or bored. People wanted to keep watching it, and they've been asking me, because, really, we're not done with our careers. We're not done in boxing. So I've had a request, if we're going to make a part 2 or do we continue? Do we build upon that? So me and Chuy are talking about, maybe just having another second part to it maybe in the future or just adding a little bit more to what we have right now.
That's a great idea, and I love that you guys had the question and answer session after with you and Robert, and even Brandon Rios was there and answered some questions. That was the best because, people really got to see you face to face, and I really appreciated your honesty when you talked about, making weight and how dieting is the worst part of boxing, which I totally concur. I hated it. I hated it. I agree. You agree. Everyone, I think Austin Trout was saying the same thing when I interviewed. And then Brandon, but Robert said Brandon kind of liked that process, that he got so dehydrated. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, he actually says that he knows that that's the best for him because he can actually kind of appreciate where he's at, and he sees the hard work and knows that he deserves, to be where he's at for all the hard work he puts in it, and that's what he loves about it, that he can really compare, what he's making in his fights, where he's at, what titles, who he's fighting, whatever, for all that work that he's putting in.
Yeah, he is funny. That was funny, but it was really informative the way you guys were talking, and I think that documentary will do really well if you guys can pump it up, and I'm going to definitely pump it up because I had a great time, and I know Chuy was mentioning he has an interview from Bob Arum to add in there, and I think all that. Yeah, so you guys are going to add a little more, and then it's going to be done?
Yes, that's the plan. I'll just edit a couple things there and add a couple interviews and questions that you said with Bob and a couple other sports writers and boxing writers and just add a couple of little things like that and we'll be done and then we'll be pushing in more.
Wow. Well, I have to ask you about, when you saw Abner Mares to fight against Johnny Gonzalez, were you and your brother Robert, were you surprised at the outcome?
We were surprised because nobody expected that outcome. Nobody expected Johnny to come out and just, beat Mares that easily, and especially in the first round, hurt him that bad. But, this is boxing, and that's what makes, like Robert said, that's what makes boxing so exciting and so fun to watch.
Well, do you think Abner kind of, took Johnny for granted, okay, we're going to pass him. When my contract is over, I'm going to fight Mikey Garcia. Do you think he thought of it like that and didn't take it serious enough?
He might have thought Gonzalez was done and that he wasn't a big threat, but, I don't know. He also might have just got caught with a good punch, and that's it. It could have been just, a good punch that hurt him, and that's it. It was the first round. It's not like he had a bad game plan or something like that, or that he got tired. He just got caught in the first round, and like I said, that's boxing.
Yep, he just got caught. Just like I believe Pacquiao got caught, and now Brandon has an opportunity with him. It happens to everybody, just like Robert was saying about him against Ben Tacky. Nobody should underestimate. But how about for you? Like when we were watching you, Mikey, the last time, and you were trying to make the weight, and seeing you suffer and get sick and have to give up your belt for that. How are you doing? Are you going to move up in weight, or do you think you're going to stay where you are?
Actually, well, we're planning on fighting November 9th. Everything's going well. I think November 9th with Rocky Martinez will be probably the best option for me right now. I want to try out the 130-pound division. I want to see how I feel there. I think it's the right move for me at this point, and I'll just have to wait and see after my fight how I feel, and if I think I can come back to 126 or if I decide to stay 130, we'll just weigh the options at that point.
Yeah, you have to tell everyone, isn't it the most just terrible feeling to be hungry to that point that you actually get sick and throw up?
Well, nothing had happened to me like that, and I never had anything like that where I got sick or had that much difficulty making weight. It was the first time for me to actually struggle to make weight, and it really was very bad and frustrating, and at the same time sad and disappointing, but I mean, I just had to, make sure that I did my best and still performed the night of the fight.
Yes, and you did. I mean, wow. After being dehydrated like that, you really went out and you showed everyone. Unfortunately, you had to lose the belt for that. But it's like people don't understand that your body pretty much kind of shuts down, and even in like 1 pound more, you can't do it.
Well, yeah, we tried everything we wanted.
Yeah,
we did everything possible. We did everything we could, and we tried, to make sure that we made weight, and we just weren't able to do it. And I mean, there was nothing else left that my body could shed. I mean, there was literally nothing else, and that's why I got sick, and I had to call a doctor to come in and check me out after the weigh-in, and he put IV, and we were planning on canceling the fight. He thought we should cancel the fight. And, we all thought we might not even be able to fight the next day, but everything turned out well, and at least we still came out with the victory.
Yeah, thankfully. I mean, you definitely got in there and you silenced any critics, that's for sure. And how are you now? I mean, what's going on with you?
I have to tell you we got to go now. I'm sorry for saying.
Oh, you have to go. Oh, that's okay. You have been great. No, I know. Thank Robert, please. Thank you, Mikey. Good luck on your fight. Thank you for being on Real Combat Media Boxing Radio, and have a safe flight.
Yes, thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
Another
Take
time
care.
we'll do it again. Thank you.
I'll look forward to it. Take care. Have a safe flight. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, so that was our interview with Robert and Mikey Garcia. I loved it. It was great. They took the time. Hopefully they are in Texas by now or maybe soon with a safe flight. We are going to come back with more Real Combat Media Boxing Radio and Chuy Santillan as soon as we go to a commercial.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products on the online store, and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store, and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media, and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It. That is ONNIT on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up. Here we go. Let's get this show started.
That darn mute button. Welcome back to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio, episode 29. I'm your host, Christy Rosario, here in Los Angeles, with my co-host, Richard Solomon, the Boxing Prophet. You can call us live, 347-324-5998, or you can Twitter us at Real Combat Media, my Twitter at BoxingGirl, BXINGIRL, and at Boxing Prophet 68 for the Boxing Prophet. Find us on Facebook at Real Combat Media in your search bar. And we are joined now with Chuy Santillan. Santillan. Did I say that right, Chuy?
Santillan.
Santillan.
Yeah,
How are you? What did you think of the interviews?
The interview was, it's pretty much self-explanatory. I mean, like I said, you have two parts of the family that are always busy, and they explain it themselves. They're constantly on the go. They're constantly doing what they have to do to actually get the fighters prepped up and also get them to the locations that they do to promote whatever it is that they're going to promote. So again, these guys are very busy, so you can understand that me as a filmmaker, catching up to them was not an easy task, but yet it wasn't impossible either. But again, I mean, it just goes to show what kind of a work ethic that both Mikey as a fighter and Robert as a trainer bring to the ring.
Yeah. Did you come across any problems with anybody that you tried to speak with? Was everyone very easygoing?
Everybody has a personality, and I thought that for me, that's what made it easier. No problems at all. It was just like really simple. People just want to know what it was, and that was it. Basically. So.
Well, how was Danny? Because Danny's kind of a mystery to me. I was hoping he was at your screening. Did you tell him about the screening?
You know what? I didn't get a chance to tell him, unfortunately, because when you're hosting a screening, you have to worry about everything that's there, making sure that everybody's content, making sure that the food is there, the water is there, the facility's on go. My tech guy is ready to pretty much show everything, and everything comes out, the way you like it, basically, as a part of my acting.
All right. Well, next showing, we got to tell Danny because I want to meet him. I've never met him before, and I know he was a big part of the film.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, my encounter with Danny was a very humbling one. He was a bit reserved because he didn't know much about the documentary, just like Robert not knowing about my idea, or Mikey, or even his dad, Don Eduardo. None of them knew. I guess to me it was more like a sense of unexpectedness, and I mean, I didn't come across as a filmmaker myself. I just came across as, hey, I want to do your story. You must know, like, there's a bunch of people that pretty much want to do a lot of these stories, and Mikey said it himself. It's like he was very uncertain of the feedback. But I figured that honestly, in as much work as you put into a film to try to get the right message out, you're gonna get a type of reaction. The project is not my first film, not my second. It's my third film. I have other ones coming out, but it was just one of those unexpected experiences, So, yeah, I could understand their reaction.
No, their reaction. Yeah, well, they seemed to, the film was great, and they seemed to really open their arms to let you, go into their life. Are you going to add on more, or is it finished now?
That's a plan. I think that I'm working on adding more. There's more pieces to the puzzle that I want to add, but I want to create it more, make it more interesting yet. I think that with the writing, I think that with the interview, I think that with the right music, I think that, the project has an opportunity to even become that more interesting. I mean, you were there. You saw, the applause afterwards. People liked it. People want to know more about it. And, I mean, to me, I guess it was just the reaction of the fans, of the people there, the audience, That's what actually got my attention. And, I mean, I'm really, really confident with it. So, I mean, I'm just waiting to see or waiting to add more to the project itself, yeah.
I really also like that you used Lupe Contreras, his voice, throughout the documentary. That was really cool.
There's a story behind it. It's funny because when I started the project, I wanted two people on there, somebody with the background knowledge, right? And this is not Robert's fault, Robert Garcia's fault. I wanted Max Kellerman. I wanted to approach him and have Max Kellerman come on board and just kind of give me his input and read it, see what he thought, the script. When I heard Lupe Contreras, La Voz del Boss, I just said to myself, I have to hear this guy out, see what he's all about. But when I heard his voice, his dynamic voice in the ring, I said, wow. And, I mean, I asked him. We exchanged information. He was very interested. He was curious more than anything. We sent the script back and forth. We had our little exchanges here and there. And, when he came in, he was ready to do it. I just told myself, damn, this is great. This is awesome. I'm ready to do this. And, so we were in the studio for maybe 2 takes, 3 takes, give or take. And yeah, I mean, he was the power voice that we wanted to allow the film to become that much that intense, you know.
Yeah, he was great. It was perfect fit for the film.
Yeah, I agree.
Perfect. No, I loved it. You know, next time I want to see it in a theater, and I want to have the lights down. I want to have everyone quiet because, you know, people were talking and they were excited. I want to see it where I could just, like, focus. I want to see it again. And you said you may be going to Oxnard to show it, right?
Yeah, there's a good possibility that we may end up screening it in Oxnard next, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of fans, a huge fan base there, so definitely, yeah.
That would be great. And I have to ask you, did you see Mayweather-Canelo fight?
I saw bits and pieces of it. I already knew Mayweather was going to win. There's no, in my opinion, there's no way of saying that Canelo was going to do something unless, of course, I didn't even want to speculate. I knew Mayweather was going in there. He had his plan. He applied his tactics, and he won. I mean, everybody could say whatever they want, but Canelo, I still think that he needs a little bit more experience under his belt, and with the ring king like Mayweather at the moment, and we're talking about now, you know, even though you go in there with a plan, he's going to make you fight his game plan. I mean, he's going to make you fight his style, his game plan, and he's going to execute. And that's one thing that we saw from Canelo and himself, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We're going to have a big discussion of that later, but we have my co-host, the Boxing Prophet. I'm sure he has questions for you. Prophet?
Speak away.
Yes.
Ask away.
How are you? It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I wasn't invited to the screening because Christy didn't pay for my flight to California. I live in New York, so I did not get the memo. But my question to you, go ahead, Christy, you can respond.
No, I was just laughing. I'm like, you're right. You know, when they have a premiere in New York, then you can pay for my flight, and I'll go with you, okay?
Absolutely. I'll even consider that a date. How do you like that? You're good for my ego.
Gosh, I'm not wearing your robe, Prophet. I'm not going to wear the robe. Sorry.
That would be pretty cool. But first of all, let me compliment Chuy, because I know there aren't too many independent filmmakers out there of Latino descent, so I just want to congratulate you on being so successful at what you do.
Thank you.
And I noticed that in one of your other films, I believe it was entitled In Our Backyards, you had the balls to tackle such a very controversial subject, immigration, you know, which is very political. You have the Republicans and the Democrats, you know, fighting over it. How did you tackle such a very, you know, touchy subject?
Well, the subject is touchy. And, you know, we live, okay, I'm a student or an alumni of Long Beach State. Long Beach State happens to have, you know, some of these professors, and I think every institution had some of these progressive professors that, you know, stand for what they believe in, you know, whether it's a DREAM Act, whether it's immigration, whether it's civil rights, whether, you know, you name it, right? So to me, I was a part of the HR 4437 march back in 2005, and I shot the whole thing, like 2 hours worth, right? So in the process of, I started realizing the impact and the importance of the project of that matter. And when I took it on, I started to write and develop, but my problem was that I did not know enough. So I started to reach out to people from Chicano Studies, people from community leaders, you know, you name it, you know, people who are fighting, who are, debating or even lobbying for the whole DREAM Act idea, or just the idea of immigration, period, you know. So I started to ask the right people. I've interviewed the right people. Some of the right people, anyways. We're not done with it completely. But I started getting, like, really disappointed with the political process here. And being that it is a money's game, I get it. I totally understand. But there are certain people that take it, or groups that take it to another level where it's not a money's game, it's more of a hatred game. And you know what? We're in 2013, and we're only getting, we're only growing as a nation. We're improving, and we should be improved, and we should be like pretty improved and aware and non-ignorant at a point to this point. But you have to ask yourself, like, when does the ignorance stop? You know? And I know that there's like of educated individuals, there's 19%, 75% outside of our schools that don't get it, don't understand. But you know what? Documentaries like this bring up the message bring up the message and the awareness that needs to take place.
And is that why you started the 805 Filmworks to handle such, controversial topics?
805 Filmworks, it's pretty much an identity of mine because I'm also an Oxnarder, and a lot of my growing up took place in the fields, and hearing the stories and hearing like what other people had to say, and there's an identity there, people who break their backs that don't get the respect or recognition that they deserve, I feel, it happens in the 805, especially at my time period. So I'm sure it still happens now. It happens in factories. It happens in, even now today where, I feel that big corporations are getting rich off of low-paying jobs, stuff like that, and you hear stuff like that on big corporate, stations, TV stations, radio stations, You can go on, but you hear about it, and it's about time we start bringing attention to it in a very visual manner.
And 805, for all you that don't know, is Oxnard. So 805 is Oxnard. I want to ask Eric. We have Eric Woods here from Arizona on the line, so I want to have him ask a question. Go ahead, Eric.
Chuy, it's great to see that you're doing these things. The Garcias, they're great. Mikey, he's a great fighter. Robert, he was a great boxer. Now, this is the first that I've heard about the film, but what was it that made you, want to do this with the Garcia brothers?
Garcias were a family that pretty much started something. Again, going with the father, who pretty much saw, he always had this burning desire. Until he landed here in California and worked in the fields of Oxnard, San Pedro, etc., he started off with his older son because he had this burning desire. You know what I mean? It's not just a boxing documentary. It's a reward to an example, to never give up, to continue going, to life is hard, but yet there's always a reward. It's a message. That's what motivated me.
Yeah, and that's great. I mean, that's true. There's a message in everything, and it's great to see you do what you're doing. And thank you for that.
Thank you.
Chuy, do you have anything else you want to tell us? Do you have any, more information on where you guys are going to be next? Anything?
Well, right now, there's a lot that I have on my plate. I think we were talking about this yesterday, where I have another project that I'm actually working on. But as far as Los Garcias, the documentary, the only thing I can say is, we're still chopping away. We're still, cutting into detail. We're somewhat close, like Mikey had said. I'm sure that we want to, construct or build a very, very nice, well-told story where everybody could just be like, hell yeah. And, I've seen the reaction, and make it very dramatic and intense where people just get into it. It just sucks you in and, just those sort of things. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, everything is a great work in progress. And yeah, man, I appreciate you guys letting other people know.
Well, I enjoyed it, and I love all those.
Thank you.
Yes? Go ahead.
I was going to get to that, but go ahead. It's okay.
I was just going to say I enjoyed all the fight footage. I really enjoyed it. Go ahead. Now you tell me what you were going to say.
No, I was going to actually say that is that we want to actually do that where people do get into it. You said you like the fight scenes, the reaction that people had. You know what I mean? We want to stir some of that.
And answers is great.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anything that people want to know about these Garcias, and if they want us to come out to their city, be it Texas, be it Northern Cali, be it wherever in this nation, I don't care. I'm more than welcome to go and share the footage with you. And the door's opened. Why not?
Excellent. Yeah, I love it. It's really funny because, Brandon Rios was there, and I got to find out that he is planning on, KOing Pacquiao. Remember, he boldly said that he's going to KO him. Go ahead.
He's very hungry. You can't blame a guy who's very hungry. He wants to become the it guy now. I don't blame him. Everybody, just like Mayweather, Pacquiao the same way. Everybody wants these guys. You know this, Chrissy. Every boxing guy, every person who watches the sports of boxing or loves the sport of boxing knows that. People like Floyd Mayweather, people like Pacquiao, they're targets. People like Juan Dinamita Marquez, they're targets. People like even Mikey, they're targets. And Nonito, he's a target regardless, And people want the name. People want to be recognized. Look at what happened with Rigo Rigondeaux versus Nonito. Rigo got like a little name there, he's a little stir up, but that's going to go in his record, so people want to know more about him. There's always people who are being hunted. Yeah, these fighters. It's like they're targeted, like these up and comers.
That is true. And Brandon is definitely going to get in there and try his best to do what he has predicted. To do that KO, I'm excited to watch that fight.
I actually love, and I do mean that in every word, I love the way Brandon brings it. It's like no holds barred. You're gonna hit me, I'm gonna smile, but get ready because I'm coming at you. And he only comes at you in one cylinder. You know what I mean? In one drive. He just comes at you, and it's like your best shot.
He does. He's in your face. I mean, that's why when I asked the question, I had to be very direct, and he brought it right back. But I loved it. But you know what? We have to go to a commercial, and I want to thank you so much, Chuy. Now, tell everybody.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Is there a website or Building Champions Los Garcias is on YouTube or just a trailer, right?
Everything that's mine is pretty much all trailer. Right now, people won't be able to see it. Eventually, it'll come a day where people will be able to see it. But right now, everything is like online. They want to get like sort of a taste of the project. It's on there. It's on the. You can go to Facebook and like the page, Building Champions Garcias, or you can hit up 805filmworks.com. Or even Twitter me at at Alumni Chuy, and I'll keep everybody updated.
Chuy, what is it? Say it a little slower. At what?
Alumni Chuy. Yeah, Alumni Chuy.
Alumni Chuy. Okay. Well, thank you, and we will definitely be hearing from you again. And make sure everyone looks at Building Champions Los Garcias. Chuy, thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you all. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. We're going to go to a commercial now, and we'll be right back.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products online on the online store and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store, and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media, and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It. That is ONNIT on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up. Here we go. Let's get this show started.
Welcome back to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio. This is episode 29. I'm your I said that's so funny. I almost said I'm your ho-hos, and that just didn't sound good. But I'm your host, Christy Rosario, here in Los Angeles with my co-host, Richard Solomon, the Boxing Prophet. We also have Eric Woods, who's joined us from Arizona. And if you want to call us live at 347-324-5998, or Twitter us at Real Combat Media, my Twitter at BoxingGirl, BXINGIRL, and at Boxing Prophet 68 for Profit. Find us on Facebook at Real Combat Media in the search bar. And I want to tell you that it looks like Lucas Matese is ready to sign a rematch with Danny Garcia. What do you think of that, Prophet?
I think it's a fight that should happen again. It was a great fight overall. Clearly the most entertaining fight of the night. But because of the travesty that was Matise's corner and not having the end swell.
Okay, hold on, Prophet. We're not going to the fight yet. We just wanted to ask your opinion if you think that would be a good fight to have a rematch.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the same people that yelled and screamed, let's not forget Danny Garcia fought Eric Morales in a fight that didn't really need a rematch, and he gave Eric Morales a rematch and destroyed him. You know, he should do what's right for the sport of boxing, and he should, and we'll talk about the fight itself later, but in a perfect world, if justice prevailed, he would give Matise a rematch, and I think Matise deserves a rematch.
Okay, I agree. But first, we don't want to hurry up. We want to kind of move on to the undercard and talk about Kano and Theophane first. So, Prophet, what did you think? Let me get my little stuff here so we can talk about this, because I want to talk about that fight first and then move on to, I don't know where I put it, but why don't you start then, Prophet? Talk about Ashley Theophane and Pablo Cesar Kano. What did you think of the fight?
Sure, we got to build the drama and talk about every fight in chronological order. I thought that Theophane had really no shot at winning this fight unless the judges handed it to him on a silver platter. He's best known for being Floyd Mayweather's sparring partner and actually losing a split decision to Danny Garcia on ESPN years ago. And, Pablo Cano is a hard luck kid, a guy who fought well against Eric Morales, also dominated Malignaggi, and because it was in Brooklyn, Malignaggi got the controversial decision victory. And even in his last fight in Mexico, gave Sugar Shane Mosley a great fight in a war that Shane Mosley won by a narrow decision. I just thought, styles make fights, and Cano is an aesthetically pleasing fighter. He doesn't know the meaning of the word retreat. Rounds 3 through 5 were incredible. Cano hurt Theophane on more than one occasion with brutal right hands. To his credit, though, in the 5th round, with a disgusting cut and blood streaming from his nose, Theophane showed tremendous resiliency, and it made round 5 one of the best rounds of the night as he came back and he rocked Cano later on in round 5, which was a great round. But overall, I thought Cano landed the harder, cleaner shots, won the fight hands down. I had the fight scored 7 rounds to 3 for Cano. I was a little, I shouldn't say I was stunned, because Theophane is a protege of Floyd Mayweather Jr., so I guess it shouldn't shock me that one judge had it 96-94 for Theophane. Like I said, at the end of the day, I had it 7 rounds to 4 for Cano. One judge agreed with me, having it 97-93. And the last judge had it 98-92, all for Cano. Theophane goes back to the drawing board, and I guess he becomes a stepping stone for, promising welterweights. And for Cano, I think basically, sky's the limit. If you're an A-level fighter, and you don't bring your best, Cano can upset you. So I think a perfect fight for him would be, against maybe Kell Brook or Robert the Ghost Guerrero. And, if the winner of the Amir Khan Devin Alexander fight, if they don't get to fight Mayweather, I think Cano would give either one of them fits. He's a very, like I said, a very crowd-pleasing fighter. And Cano finally got a win. A very hard luck guy. All of his 3 losses were somewhat, hard, 2 of them being controversial. But he got the win, and I thought he deserved it.
All right. What did you think, Eric?
Well, I got to agree. Pablo Cano, he's a rugged fighter. He's a come-forward fighter, and I think he deserved the win. He grinded out, through the whole 10 rounds. I mean, it was a close fight. I thought Theo Payne could have been a little more aggressive, but, it's kind of tough to stand in front of a guy like Pablo Cano. He's got power, and he's got a good chin. He's just a tough customer when he's in the ring.
Yes, he is. It was a good fight. I guess, it was so hard because, you get there and you get to your friend's house and there's so much stuff going on, and I was trying to watch the fight, and I know it was the fight. It was exciting. I kept glancing up, but, I honestly can't tell you. I thought it was pretty close, but I still thought it was for Pablo, but I dissected as much as I should.
Yeah, it was a close fight. I think I had it 97-93, but it was a great fight, and we'll see what's next for Cano. I mean, he's climbing up, and I think he definitely deserves a good shot at something.
Yeah, he does deserve. I mean, he fought Shane Mosley last and lost to decision in Mexico, which was surprising, and I definitely studied that fight. That was good, and I was very happy for Mosley. But, yeah, like you said, Pablo Cano is a very good fighter. He moves forward. He's fun to watch. It's not boring at all. And Prophet, anything else that you want to add for either of these fighters?
No, I'm just happy that the right guy got the decision. I was very nervous when I heard split decision because I had it 97-93 as well for Cano. And, it just shows that hard work pays off. And, Cano, like I said, if you're an elite welterweight, you're in the top 10, and you don't bring your A game, Cano can upset you. He's a fan-friendly fighter who doesn't know the meaning of the word retreat. Like you said, he's been in there with several good fighters like Malignaggi and Hall of Famers, Sugar Shane Mosley and Eric Morales, future Hall of Famers. So Cano is no joke, and I think he'll move on to bigger and better things after this past Saturday night.
I agree. I think so. So we will move on to Ishe Smith and Carlos Molina. Wow, I was actually surprised on this one. All right, so it was Carlos Molina won for a split decision as well. And let me see here what the scores were. The scores were 116-112, 117-111, and 112-116 for Smith. I know Ishe Smith, being on the Mayweather Promotions, was very surprised by that fight. It was a good fight. It wasn't my favorite fight, but it was a good fight to watch. And I think K9 is probably pretty excited now, don't you think, Prophet, after seeing that Ishe Smith gets the belt taken away from him?
Yeah, he should be licking his chops, and he should be happy in more ways than one. I had my reservations about making a pick on this fight because, like Canelo Theophane, Ishe Smith being with Floyd Mayweather Promotions, it made you think that Ishe would get the benefit of the doubt. So I kind of predicted that Molina should win a split decision, or worst case scenario will be a draw. I wasn't really sure, but I thought it was an ugly fight to watch. It was very painful. I found myself eating about 4 or 5 slices of pizza because, the Canelo fight was very exciting, and this fight was just bland and boring. It was very, very hard to score. Usually in close rounds they give it to the champion. I was shocked that Molina got the decision. And what's crazy about all of this is that all 3 judges that scored the fight, and you just read the scores, had it one-sided fashion. They had either Ishe Smith winning 8 rounds to 4 or Molina winning 9 rounds to 3 or 8 rounds to 4. I thought it was a nip-tuck affair, and to me it should be either a 7-5 fight either way or even a draw. Neither guy made a statement. There was a lot of holding and clinching. I guess if you put a gun to my head, I would have, scored the fight 7 rounds to 5 for Carlos Molina. But like Cano, calmer sometimes is a good thing. You take a look at Molina's career. He should have gotten a victory over Erislandy Lara, and it was a draw. Some people thought he beat Chavez Jr. early in his career, and that was a draw. He was ahead on the scorecards, about to beat James Kirkland when his corner ran into the ring, and he got disqualified. So here's a kid that, he has 5 or 6 losses. If luck had gone his way, should really only have 1 or 2 losses on his resume. But, luck finally found him, or if you want to call it good luck or good fortune, I don't know what you want to call it. But in a fight that the only thing to me that had me on pins and needles, so to speak, was a decision, because it's very, very hard to root against a guy like Carlos Molina. He's easy to root for. It's just that Ishe Smith did his best to make an ugly fight with a lot of holding. But at the end of the day, I believe justice was served, and Carlos Molina can finally, and rightfully so, declare himself a champion. So basically good things happen to good people, Christine. I'm very happy for Carlos Molina.
He's an IBF light middleweight champion now, and I was surprised, too, because I really thought that, like you said, if it's close like that, and you're right, it was not a very interesting fight. But if, all fights are interesting if you like boxing, but, for the average spectator, that wasn't an exciting fight. And if it's close like that, they usually give it to the champion. And Mayweather, that's his town. I was really surprised. I was actually impressed that they got the decision right like that. So I was impressed. What do you think, Eric?
Well, I expected a lot more from Ishe Smith in that fight. Carlos Molina, I wasn't expecting him to beat Smith. But, he seemed to be pressing the fight a little more. It wasn't I agree with you, it wasn't my favorite fight, but it was a good, I guess it was a good fight for the undercard, to get the night going.
Yeah. I guess it was a good time for Prophet to eat. What did you say, 6 pieces of pizza, Prophet?
Maybe even more. I mean, that fight was so mind-bogglingly boring. Like I said, the only suspense to me was when they went to the scorecards, and I kind of knew it at that point it was either going to be a split decision or a draw, because a lot of those rounds was just a holding going on, and I just, even though Molina was the champion and I'm happy for him, he could have made it a more decisive fight if he had pressed the action. And it wasn't the same Molina that fought so well in previous fights. But at the end of the day, no one really looks that good against Ishe Smith. He just has that boring style. And for Molina now, I believe that Canelo Alvarez, or Molina actually has already called out Canelo Alvarez, saying he would like to make his first title defense against Canelo. So at least Molina wants to fight the best, and I applaud him for that. But he's a guy like, Canelo in the first fight of the evening who proved his worth, and, it's on to bigger and better things for him.
Well, what do you think? How do you think Carlos Molina would do against Canelo?
Well, if he fights like he did against Ishe Smith, Canelo will destroy him. Molina has to box and be aggressive, but only be aggressive in spots, because he can't trade with Canelo Alvarez. Canelo is just too powerful for him. But let's not forget, when you show ring generalship and boxing ability against Canelo Alvarez, sometimes, like the kid from The Contender, Alfonso Gomez, he frustrated Canelo early with his movement, his jab, in spots he held, and before Canelo scored that TKO victory, he was visibly frustrated by Gomez's movement. And I think that's what Molina has to do. Box, use a lot of lateral movement, at times be aggressive to earn Canelo's respect, and when in doubt, clinch. As boring as it is, never be afraid to clinch when you get hurt. And, styles-wise, he can give Canelo fits, but at the end of the day, I think Canelo hits too hard. And I think it would behoove Molina to wait and not take the Canelo fight, maybe fight the winner. If I was his manager or promoter, what I would do is I would have him fight the winner of Miguel Cotto, Delvin Rodriguez. I think that's a more winnable fight for Molina, but we'll see. Canelo's the bigger name, and it'll give him a bigger paycheck. But I think at this stage of his career, like I just said, maybe the winner, skills-wise, maybe the winner of Delvin Rodriguez, Miguel Cotto, is a much more winnable fight for him than fighting Canelo.
Yeah, and Canelo, wow, with those 15-pound weight gain, he's a big boy, that one. He could fight Triple G over there. But, okay, we'll talk about all that after. I know I'm getting ahead of myself. So, yeah, Ishe Smith and Carlos Molina, it was a okay fight, But, you're right. I ate a lot of wings and pizza during that time as well. So I hear ya. Well, what do you think? Should we move on to Lucas Matese and Danny Garcia? You guys ready? Yes, we are ready. All right, so we had Lucas Matese, who I thought was going to bring it in there and just destroy Danny Garcia, but I shouldn't have, because Danny Garcia was a great amateur. He's a great fighter. They were going for the WBA Super World welterweight title and the WBC light welterweight title. The scoring was 114, 112, 115, 111, and 114, 112. And as we know, Danny Garcia won. Profit. What happened there?
It was, to me, it wasn't a huge upset, but the entire panel on this show loved Matisse in the fight. I thought Matisse would win by a come-from-behind 10th round knockout. I'll get to that 11th round in a second. How Danny Garcia withstood that right hand that sent his mouthpiece sprawling is beyond me. But basically, Matisse believed his own press clippings, and he believed that, I don't need to throw a jab if I'm a one-punch knockout artist. And in the early rounds, he was out-jabbing Garcia, and he looked good. The first 3 or 4 rounds, he was using the jab. He was landing right hands at will. And Danny Garcia, even though he was taking the punches well, I thought to myself, it's just a matter of time before Matisse was going to stop him. In round 4, Garcia fought back a little bit, and he started to work Matisse's body. And I think it was a combination of A, the beautiful body work of Danny Garcia, and B, his ability to take Matisse's bombs, which sort of deterred Matisse a little bit. His confidence started to slow down. And Garcia, especially when he had that huge, when his eye began to close in the 7th round, that's when pretty much Danny Garcia took over, and he started to completely, and I mean completely, dominate the fight. And it's just a shame that Matisse's corner didn't use the end swell on his eye. To me, it was disgusting. It was unprofessional. If I'm Matisse, I fire his cornerman right away. I just did. They were using their thumbs and their hands instead of the end swell. I was actually screaming at the TV set. People were staring at me at the party I went to. They're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "They're not using end swell. The guy's using his thumb. What the hell's going on?" And Matisse couldn't see the punches coming. Garcia pretty much dominated the middle to late rounds. And what should go down as one of the rounds of the year, round 11, like I alluded to earlier, Matisse just nailed Garcia with a picture-perfect right hand, which sent his mouthpiece like catapulting onto the top rope and then over. Any junior welterweight alive today would have not only been knocked down, but knocked unconscious by that right hand. I can't give Danny Garcia enough credit in the world for taking that right hand. And he actually came back in that same round and landed, to me, what was a controversial knockdown, because if you saw the fight, Matisse's head was actually stuck in between the top and the middle ropes. And I expected the referee, usually he gets, in between the fighters and separates them when a fighter's head is stuck in between the ropes. But he didn't, and Garcia landed a combination, and Matisse went down. But at that point, it didn't really matter. Garcia was deducted a point for excessive low blows, and rightfully so in the 12th and final round. His body attack was great, but at least on 3 or 4 occasions, it looked like he threw blatantly low punches. And I was just waiting for the official to deduct a point off of his scorecard. But at the end of the day, the same Danny Garcia, who we all saw, who looked like a deer in the headlights after Matisse knocked out Lamont Peterson. He looked like he wanted no part of the beast that is Matisse, backed up his words. I had him winning by, I believe, 3 points on my scorecard, 7 rounds to 4, with 1 round even. The only controversy here is that Matisse's cornermen did a deplorable job on the swollen eye. And I think had Matisse been able to see those punches coming, maybe he could have landed more, harder shots than he did, like he did in the 11th round, and he could have defended himself better. But, Garcia proved that he's a champion. I was wrong. I'll be the first to admit I'm wrong. And the judges got it right. The better fighter won. I just hope, like I said earlier in the program, Garcia found a way to give an over-the-hill Eric Morales a rematch after kind of dominating him in their first fight. Before we all jump on, let's have Garcia fight, Mayweather sweepstakes. I think Garcia Matisse is a marketable rematch, and boxing fans should want Garcia. Hopefully Garcia will do the right thing and Matisse will get the rematch. But overall, it was a fascinating fight to watch and very, very entertaining. I loved it.
That's a good breakdown, Prophet. That was very good. Except I have something that I want to say. I think there was something else that was a little more controversial, was the low blows. There were so many low blows. Come on now. I like, our referee. I think he's fantastic, Tony Weeks. But seriously, maybe he was just out of position most of the time. I think he could have taken points a little earlier because there were so many low blows that some of them had to be deliberate. I mean, unless you're just, winging it. But Danny Garcia is a lot more, he knows where he's putting his punches. So I think that, I know my friend Anna over there in Vegas was counting, and she's like, there was at least 7. She's going crazy, and it's like, there were tons of low blows. He could have called it a little more. The first, I think, couple of rounds at least, Danny kind of looked like he was a little out of his element, and Lucas really, was coming on strong. I think what happened was that Matisse, when his eyes started closing, this is such a different feeling for him. I don't think he's ever had anything like it in his life. It was a new phenomenon that it kind of, it was a little off, he got a little off kilter because it wasn't the Matisse that I was used to seeing. And as far as the end swell, I know they had the end swell because they were using it at first. I just think his trainer or the cutman thought it would be better, and at times you could see that he was pushing out the swelling, and his eye was looking better after the 1 minute was over. So, I think that's debatable. I don't know if the end swell would have done, I'm not a doctor much more, but I don't think it was that big of a deal because he was pushing it so much that his eye was opening, and then, of course, it was closing by the end of the round when they were boxing. I liked the fight a lot. I was disappointed because I predicted Matisse, and I was wrong as well. But I like Danny Garcia, and, I could see him fighting Canelo before he fights Mayweather. What do you think of that, Prophet? You think if he fought Canelo? Because Canelo, that might be a really good fight, those two.
I think I don't think Canelo will take that immediately. I think Canelo's team wants him to have a nice confidence booster before he would fight Garcia. I agree with you wholeheartedly, by the way, on the low blows. There were so many low blows where Garcia should have been deducted maybe even more than a point, but it's just, the turning point came with Matisse's eye. He wasn't the same. And like I said earlier, I think after round 4, when Matisse saw that Garcia was taking his best shots and, not even really all that hurt. The most underrated aspect of this fight was Danny Garcia's chin. It was amazing to me. Matisse was landing really brutal right hands, bombs, like I said before, that would have knocked down any 140-pounder in the world, and Garcia took it like a man. But, the corner... You're right. His chin was amazing. Like you're saying, when they did the slow motion of that right that hit him, that the mouthpiece flew off on the top rope,
That was amazing. Did you see how far his mouthpiece, kind of like when you're skipping stones in a lake and you saw his mouthpiece skip over the ropes? Remember that? That was crazy.
And it was amazing.
Anybody else would have been floored.
And the most amazing thing is that I was going to text you or even call you to tell you that, the boxing prophet has spoken again. And then Garcia came back and knocked him down, and I'm like, oops, maybe I won't send that text message or make that phone call too quickly now. But Garcia showed tremendous resiliency, tremendous heart, and I just can't state it enough. And the weird thing is, I'm not the biggest fan in the world of CompuBox numbers, but when they showed the numbers after the fight, the ironic thing about this all is that a lot of prognosticators, including myself, thought the only way Garcia can win this fight is if he out-jabbed Matisse. And Matisse actually landed more jabs in the fight than Garcia did. Garcia just used a lot of lateral movement when he needed to, went to the body, illegally or legally, on numerous occasions to slow down, the pace of Matisse. And he just, handled Matisse's power punches. It's just amazing to me that if you had told me that Matisse would out-jab Garcia and still lose his fight, I would have said you're crazy. It wasn't this virtuoso boxing performance by Danny Garcia. It was Garcia's team coming up with a great game plan that pretty much worked to perfection. I can't tell you how impressed I was by not only Danny Garcia, but his father, especially in between rounds. I forget which round it was when Garcia had that off round. His father slapped him in the face and said, get with it now.
In the ear, Prophet. Danny said he was still stinging him, and if it was somebody else, he would have hit him. Yeah, in the ear. I remember that one.
So he slapped him, and let me tell you something. Danny Garcia is not the only big winner of the night. His father is a pretty damn good trainer. He knows what he's doing, and I just think that in a perfect world, I don't know, Garcia might go for the money. He might want to try and fight Canelo or Mayweather next, but if I'm Garcia, I want to make the fans proud, and I kind of want to do the right thing and fight Matisse again. I don't know. It's too weird because you don't know what's going through their mind right now. Matisse is a brutal puncher, and like I said before, I think the first 4 or 5 rounds when Garcia didn't go down, it just totally took away Matisse's confidence. The look on his face at the end of round 5 told volumes. I mean, he was just landing haymaker after haymaker, and Garcia just didn't go down, didn't wobble, just held and did what he needed to do to win. And right now, with all the upsets that are happening in boxing, Danny Garcia slowly but surely is making his way into everyone's top 10 pound-for-pound list, or should be, I should say.
You should be. Well, I don't think it's in Danny Garcia's best interest to fight Lucas Matisse again, but I would like to see it. I think Danny should move on because next time, Lucas may have his better day and he may become the 33rd person to get knocked out. So he may not want to take that risk. But you know what? We got to let Eric talk because we're talking all night. So come on, Eric. What do you think about the fight?
Well, I thought Garcia had a brilliant game plan. At the beginning of the fight, and when I heard about the fight that it was going to happen, I was a little concerned because I like Danny Garcia. I think he's a great fighter. I've seen him when he fought his second pro fight on the Mayweather-Hatton undercard, and he had some great boxing skill. And when I heard about this Matisse fight, I was just like, oh man, this might not be good for Danny, but when the bell rang and he went out there after the first few rounds, I said, wow, it looks like Danny has this fight in the bag. Like you guys said, he was working the body. He was boxing really well, great lateral movement. Him and his dad, they had a great game plan. I could have lived without some of those low blows, but, it's boxing. And Danny Garcia, sometimes he throws some wide punches, and I think when he goes to the body, maybe those wide punches sometimes get a little low. I'm not sure if they were deliberate or not, but, things happen in boxing sometimes. And, some guys out there try to see what they can get away with. But do I think Danny should fight Lucas Matthysse again? Sure, why not? It could be dangerous for him. But, as far as Canelo, personally, I think Canelo's a little too big for Garcia. But, if he wanted to go for the money, I'd say, fight Mayweather. But definitely give Matthysse a rematch. Why not?
All right. So you think they should have a rematch? I hope they have a rematch. I think that would be fantastic. But, his dad, Danny's dad, Angel, man, he's entertaining. I'd love him to come on here. And he says something to the effect of, Danny is, like a gift from God with boxing. So, I think we saw it the other day, especially his chin. I mean, he impressed me. And I've known of Danny for a long time because, like I said, he was a great amateur. But I was very impressed, and I was wrong, and I do hope they have a rematch. We will have to see. Prophet, anything else you want to add with this fight before we move on?
Yeah, basically just what you were saying before, that, if he does what's best from a boxing fan's perspective, he will give Matthysse a rematch because that's what, professional fighters should do. But if he's looking at it from a financial point of view, then he might want to, challenge either Mayweather or Canelo. But as a fan, I would love to see Matthysse against Garcia too. I think it would be it's a very, very marketable rematch that every knowledgeable fight fan would tune into with their eyes wide open. I think it would be great.
Yeah, for me that was the best fight of the night. I really actually enjoyed Mayweather Canelo a lot, but that was the best fight of the night for me, and I would definitely do a number 2. And then if Matthysse won, I would definitely go for the trilogy of number 3. So there we have it. Maybe we'll have a trilogy for Lucas Matthysse and Danny Garcia. And then maybe Chuy can come on and he could start a documentary on the both of them. What do you think?
That would work.
That would be interesting. All right, I enjoyed your breakdowns, guys. We are going to go to a commercial, and when we come back, we will definitely talk about Mayweather Canelo. We'll talk about the judging and everything else that had to do with that fight. But before I go to a commercial, I just want to tell you that there is a reward for the murderer or murderers who murdered Alexis Urbina. Remember our 17-year-old boxer? He had just gone to the Ukraine, and he was at the Klitschko tournament over there, and he fought. And I know my friend who's a referee was over there with him. He just fought, came home, and someone or someones came in the house, beat him almost to death. His mother found him, and then he was brought to the hospital, and he later died. 17 years old. Please, if anybody knows anything, go to the police, or you can go to Alexis Urbina, Urbina on Facebook, and you can find out there's an anonymous link that you can press, and you can tell them if you don't want anyone to know who you are. But we have to find these cowards that did this to this boy. This is just disgusting. So please, for Alexis Urbina, a $1,000 reward. If you know anything, please call the police or go to that link on Facebook, and you can be anonymous. We will come back right after and talk about Mayweather and Canelo. We'll probably talk, yes, we will definitely talk about C.J. Ross and the other judges and the judging of the fight.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products online on the online store and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store, and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media, and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It. That is ONNIT on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up. Here we go. Let's get this show started.
Welcome back to Real Combat Media Boxing Radio, episode 29. I'm your host, Christy Rosario, here in Los Angeles. And it's not the most Los Angeles sunny day today. It's very overcast over here. I'm about 1.25 miles from the beach, and the fog has rolled in. We have my co-host is Richard Solomon, the boxing prophet in New York City. And we have joining us on the phone Eric Woods from Arizona. And you can call us live at 347-324-5998. Or you can Twitter us at Real Combat Media. My Twitter is at BoxingGirl, BXINGIRL. Or Profits at BoxingProfit68. And you can find us on Facebook anytime at Real Combat Media in your search bar. And we are back. We have been talking about all the Mayweather and Canelo undercards. And I just want to let you know that if you are in, I believe it's the Corpus Christi area, tomorrow you can go, and they're having a press conference with Mikey Garcia, Roman Rocky Martinez, Nonito Donaire, and Vic, the Raging Bull, the Arshinian, and they will host a news conference announcing their World Championship extravaganza this Wednesday, September 18th at the American Bank Center, North Shoreline Boulevard in Corpus Christi, Texas. So if you're there, joining them will be Hall of Fame promoter Bob Arum and former two-time heavyweight champion George Foreman. Media parking will be available along Resaca, Resaca, at the bottom of the main entrance. So if I was in the area, I would definitely go. That sounds like a really fun event. And I also heard from our Real Combat Media news people that there's a little blurb going around about Oscar De La Hoya, supposedly sent by Floyd Mayweather, and he has said that he had nothing to do with it. So if you know what I'm talking about and have seen this little blurb about Oscar in rehab, Floyd has said that he has had nothing to do with it. So maybe it was an assistant or someone that just hacked into or got onto his email and stuff. I don't know. But you got to be careful. You don't want to send out things you don't want, and you need to have passwords and keep your computer off. So we are back. I'm back here again, as I said, with the Boxing Prophet and Eric, and we're going to talk about our exciting fight this last Saturday with Floyd Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez. The score, let's see, we had Kenny Bayless was the referee. It was the WBC light middleweight title and the WBA Super World light middleweight title. The scores, Dave Moretti, 116-112, Mayweather. Craig Metcalf, is that Metcalf, I believe? And this is the one that Prophet you gave a hard time to, 117-111, Mayweather. And then we had C.J. Ross, who was 114 for Mayweather and Canelo, interesting enough. And interesting, you know, C.J. Ross is from Las Vegas. So we will talk about that and the judging and her and everything in a little bit. But, you know, the fight for me was a good fight. I liked it a lot. Not as much as Garcia and Matese, but I liked it because it's the first time in a long time that I saw Floyd Mayweather stand in front of Canelo and actually fight him. It was actually a fight. And, you know, nobody, you know, the critics, the haters can say that Mayweather ran. Mayweather just used his defense. Floyd stood there and he fought toe-to-toe with Canelo, I'd say for about 5 or 6 rounds. I enjoyed it because, you know, wow, Floyd Mayweather is obviously the best of the best, and he knows how to frustrate someone like Canelo. Canelo, who gained 15 pounds, was 15 pounds. Floyd was saying he was 146. Well, Canelo was, 165? And he was a big boy. And, you know, he's no slouch. He's a great fighter. He's there, willing to fight and trade punches, but he was just did not have the experience in my eyes that Mayweather had. Floyd was using his jab. He was frustrating him, and he was moving. At one point, Canelo threw his punch, and it landed practically in the audience on the ropes. And Floyd was like looking over, like, did he hit a spectator? Actually, I took that from my friend Rudy Hernandez. He was putting that on Facebook, and I thought, that's pretty much probably what Floyd was thinking. I enjoyed the fight. I definitely saw it a lot. I didn't see 114 at all. I saw that Floyd dominated the fight. What about you, Prophet?
Yeah, first let me say that I have to apologize to Greg Metcalf of Canada. When I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. As a matter of fact, he was the judge that I agreed with the most. He had it 117-111 for Floyd, as did I. And C.J. Ross should just be banned for life. I wrote that on my Twitter page. This was the same C.J. Ross that had Timothy Bradley defeating Manny Pacquiao 7-5, and they reward her by giving her such a high-profile fight with Mayweather-Canelo. I just don't understand it. The Nevada State Athletic Commission should be ashamed of themselves, and they just released a statement today that they're not going to take any disciplinary action against C.J. Ross, which to me is mind-boggling in itself. So I do apologize to Greg Metcalf, Canada's favorite son. He did a good job. And basically, I thought Mayweather would win. Since the day one the fight was announced, I thought one judge would be naive enough to either give it to Canelo, so my pick was Mayweather by split decision going in amid controversial fashion. So from a prognosticator's point of view, I guess C.J. Ross did me proud because there was something that stunk as far as the decision goes. But in terms of the fight, Krista, you hit it on the button. It wasn't as exciting as the Miguel Cotto fight, but it was a lot better than the Ghost Guerrero fight. People have this notion that Mayweather runs, and I don't think Mayweather ran at all. He stood in the pocket. He landed the jab. I haven't seen Mayweather land a jab with that conviction in ages. He just landed it at will. He didn't throw a lot of jabs after the 8th round because I think he hurt his arm. But the first half of the fight, he was nailing Canelo at will with right hands, uppercuts, jab, lots of jabs. And he was just, he did move, but he was hitting him up and down, side to side. And it was very hard to give Canelo any of the rounds. In spots, Canelo did throw the jab and he tried to go to the body, but he fought Mayweather the same way he fought Austin Trout. He tried to be too technical. He wasn't really aggressive enough. And, everyone I watched the fight with kept on saying, what is Canelo doing? He's not cutting off the ring. He's following Mayweather around the ring. He's not really, he threw his jab in the early rounds, but then later on in the fight, he was just headhunting. And, the old boxing proverb is you can't hit what you can't see. And Floyd Mayweather will go down and should go down as one of the greatest defensive fighters in the history of the sport. I mean, the way he was avoiding Canelo's punches, forget about the fact that, he moves great side to side, but the shoulder roll, just everything Floyd does is so technically proficient. He's great. If you want to say he's not that great of a boxer, like pound for pound, like a Sugar Ray Leonard or a Muhammad Ali was back in their day, in terms of a technical standpoint, he does some things wrong. I'm not going to argue with you, but he's just the best of his era in just avoiding punches. He didn't need to bring a plan B in this particular fight because Canelo wasn't a real threat. And Mayweather was very smart and didn't lay along the ropes like he did against Cotto because he didn't want to get hit when it wasn't necessary for him to take a punch. But he just put on a clinic. I thought going into the fight that Canelo, even though he looked good against Trout, still was too green to be facing Mayweather at this stage of his career. And Mayweather showed what he does to people that don't have that experience. He just embarrasses them. He embarrassed Canelo like he did to the Ghost. And the only thing is now, after breaking all sorts of records, we'll see if it breaks the De La Hoya pay-per-view against Floyd is the most watched pay-per-view in the history of boxing when the numbers are released. We'll see how the fight measured up in terms of buys. Early numbers indicate that it clearly did at least 2 million buys. So that's good. That's always good for the sport of boxing. But I just don't know what is going or was going through the mind of C.J. Ross. And I reiterate, this is the same C.J. Ross that had Bradley defeating Pacquiao, and it caused boxing to be turned upside down. And, you know, thank God Floyd won the fight. At first, Floyd even said he thought it was a joke. That, you know, and when I heard majority decision, I got to be honest, I was a little bit nervous, and I was starting to perspire. But then when I heard 116, 112, and 117, 111, I knew that Floyd was going to get the decision. And now the big question is, you know, who's going to be Floyd Mayweather's next victim? Because after putting on a display like that, it's very hard to think that there's anyone out there that even has a chance of beating Floyd Money Mayweather when he brings his A game.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I just heard a scream. It's interesting. I was on Mario Serrano, who is I bet he's like the publicist for Robert Guerrero, has on his Facebook page. Floyd Mayweather spent most of this fight in the pocket. He didn't do that against Robert Guerrero. He ran. The Ghost would beat Canelo. What do you think of that, Prophet?
I don't really, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Ghost per se. I'm one of the few people in this world that actually thought that Andre Berto deserved the decision against Guerrero, and I think Selvig Aden deserved the decision against Guerrero as well. But, you know, Guerrero has a lot of heart, but he can't, it's tough to say. I don't know. Guerrero does have a great chin. You know, he took Berto's best punches. Berto landed some hellacious uppercuts, and Guerrero took it like a man. It's a very interesting fight. You know, if he can take Canelo's power shots, Guerrero can box beautifully when he wants to, has pretty decent power, but I don't know, at this stage of his career, I think Canelo's too strong for Guerrero. If Guerrero fights a tactical fight, sort of like Austin Trout did, and gives Canelo a lot of angles, he can maybe make it a competitive fight, has an outside shot of pulling off the upset, but I don't know, at the end of the day, Canelo proved what an underrated technician he was against Austin Trout, and I just think he hits too hard. And I think Guerrero is a very prideful fighter. I don't think, you know, he wouldn't go to war with Canelo. I think he would box beautifully for a couple of rounds. Canelo would lure him into a street fight. Guerrero would say, okay, let's do it. And Canelo is just too fast and hits too hard for Guerrero. But I don't know. I always thought Guerrero was a little bit overrated, but certainly if he were to fight Canelo and beat him, he would prove me wrong.
Yeah, we'll see. What did you think, Eric, of the Mayweather-Canelo fight?
Well, when I heard about the fight, you know, I knew that Mayweather was going to be too fast, and I thought that Canelo was lacking experience. Now, you know, Canelo has dominated, you know, some of these guys that he's fought, but a lot of them have come up, you know, from lower weights to fight him. But Mayweather was just too fast. I mean, like the Boxing Prophet said, he put on a clinic. Mayweather he's a master boxer. He's got a great defense. I don't think there's anybody out there that can beat him right now. You know, I was really impressed when, you know, he made Canelo miss. I forget what round it was, but when Canelo hit the rope or he hit the camera, you know, and Mayweather just kind of was looking over there. I mean, to me that was impressive because that told me how aware of his surroundings he is when he's in the ring, you know, and he just put on a great fight. You know, the thing, and then what's next for Mayweather? I mean, I've been hearing, you know, something about if Devin Alexander, whoever wins that fight, you know, they may get a shot at Mayweather. Personally, I don't think that Devin Alexander would be a good draw, you know, to fight Mayweather. I don't think Khan's really that big of a draw, but I guess it's someone to fill the spot in. You know, what else can I say? Mayweather's a great fighter, and I don't see anyone out there beating him.
Yeah, Mayweather's a great fighter. I'm actually surprised that he has a contract to keep fighting. You'd think that, after this performance, if he retired, people would be like, wow, you retired. He did all he did. He doesn't have to continue. But I know he will, and I'm going to be curious to see. I mean, Amir Khan is a huge draw in the UK, so that might also be appealing to Mayweather. Don't you think, Prophet, as far as Amir Khan? I mean, I don't think that would be the best choice for Mayweather, but don't you think that with the draw that Amir Khan will take from the UK and Mayweather from around the world, I mean, I think that could be a good, I don't know, what do you think?
Well, I think that Floyd needs to swallow his pride a little bit. The only way this fight's going to sell is if Floyd makes that transatlantic flight and goes to England. I understand that his last 7 or 8 fights in a row, I do believe, have all been at the MGM Grand in Vegas. I don't think it'll do the amount of pay-per-view buys that Floyd, the businessman, wants. And it's not 100% certain that Amir Khan's even going to beat Devin Alexander. To me, it's a 50-50 fight. It's up for grabs. If he's fortunate enough, Amir Khan, to beat Alexander, it's going to do bad buys. If it's held in Vegas, it'll flop like Ghost Guerrero did. Ghost Guerrero, I think it only did 800,000 buys, and that's very disappointing numbers to hear from Floyd, the businessman. I think what Floyd should do is hope and pray that Timothy Bradley beats Juan Manuel Marquez. Obviously, there's no room for a Floyd-Marquez rematch because Floyd dominated him the first time. So if Timothy Bradley is fortunate enough to beat Juan Manuel Marquez in their pay-per-view showdown in October, yes, Bradley doesn't sell. He's, other than his fight of the year candidate against Povetkin, he's not really a proud look, I'm rambling my words. He's not really a crowd-pleasing fighter. Wow. Took me about 2 minutes to get that out.
It's okay, Prophet. I did that too earlier. Remember I said, this is Christy the ho-hos? Don't worry.
It goes to show you how pumped up we still are from last weekend's fights. But, if Bradley was to beat Marquez, a win over Juan Manuel Marquez, a controversial win over Manny Pacquiao, will have people talking that maybe Bradley, with his style, he does have a pretty decent boxing style, he could give Mayweather fits, but again, I don't think he's a good draw, and whether he fights Timothy Bradley, who I think he should if he beats Marquez, or if he fights Amir Khan, in order for any of those pay-per-views to sell really nicely, he would have to stack them with an undercard like he did with the Canelo fight, with a Garcia-Matisse-worthy fight that would bring hardcore boxing fans to their TV sets. Because if you put boring and unexciting fights on a pay-per-view, which is headlined by Mayweather, Bradley, or Mayweather Khan, it's not going to sell. But if you put great competitive, hardcore fights that passionate boxing fans like you and I and Eric want to see, then the fights with Bradley and Khan have a decent chance of selling.
Right. Well,
Maybe Garcia, Matisse too.
I'd like to see Mayweather go to England. I think that would be really kind of neat to see Mayweather go out of his little comfort zone. I think that would be interesting. Also, I still would like to see Pacquiao and Mayweather. I'm still hoping for that fight. I do like Brandon Bam Rios, who says he's going to knock out Pacquiao in the later rounds because Eduardo Garcia, his trainer, Mikey and Robert's father, says that it will probably happen in the later rounds. So, and I heard it from Bam Bam's mouth himself. He's going to knock out Pacquiao. Now, if it doesn't happen, and let's just say Pacquiao wins, I think I'd like to, and if he wins in, you really know that he won, I'd like to see that with Mayweather again. Eric, what were you saying?
Oh, I was saying, you were talking about stacking the undercard. I was like, Garcia Matisse too would be a great fight, to put on the undercard of Mayweather Khan or, Mayweather Alexander. As far as Brandon Rios and Pacquiao go, I think it's going to be a great fight. If Pacquiao boxes Brandon Rios, he could give Brandon Rios problems.
Yeah, Brandon Rios could give Pacquiao problems too. We're gonna see. Now I know we want to talk a little bit about our judges, or especially our one judge, C.J. Ross from Las Vegas. I did copy out her little resume, and I was looking at it. And I think one of the reasons they picked her is they felt she was competent, and another is she's from Las Vegas, so you would think that she, what I like is she didn't go for Mayweather. She didn't go for Canelo. She went for the draw. So she wasn't swayed in that way. I'm thinking that maybe, and I'm hoping that she was just in a position where every time Floyd threw his jab or he threw his punches or he missed Canelo, that she didn't see it. Maybe, that could happen because she is a Las Vegas judge, and you'd think that she would have gone the other way, and she didn't. Prophet, what do you think about C.J. Ross?
It's just crazy, like I said before, she was the judge that had Pacquiao losing to Bradley, and now she has Mayweather Canelo a draw. And some judges have been interviewed when they spew out controversial decisions, and they say that they didn't have a good angle of that particular round. I remember the judge that had Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield. The first fight was a draw. I think she said that in a round in which Lennox Lewis completely destroyed Holyfield, she gave the round to Holyfield. She said that she didn't have a good angle, the ropes were in her way or something like that. And this is a point I made in a previous show, maybe like a year or so ago. Maybe judges should sit like in a skybox above the ring, sort of like a defensive coordinator does in football. Put the three judges in separate skyboxes above the ring, give them TV sets, give them headsets so they don't, they're away from the world, and let them judge the fight there. That way there'll be no excuses. I'm tired of all the judges, that give crazy decisions saying that they didn't have a good angle, they didn't have a good view, or the view was obstructed. They're doing experiments now with having scorecards read after 8 rounds, and you see instant replay maybe coming to boxing. Who the heck knows? But why not? A lot of sports are changing with the time. And you have instant replay in baseball now. Heck, you even have instant replay in tennis. Why do the three judges have to sit at ringside? They should maybe just experiment a little and have these judges sit in skyboxes so that they can, and have TV monitors in front of them. So this way they can't spew off some nonsense, how their view was obstructed or the referee was in the way. It's just nonsense. It's just pure, maybe incompetence on the part of these judges. I don't know what to think anymore.
Well, I don't think it's, nonsense. I mean, I agree. I would like to see them do different testing, go to the skybox, have different monitors, at the ring, have different height of, chairs. As a referee judge myself, it's hard sometimes. I mean, I can't say that the rope was in my way because I can move my head for the ropes, but sometimes you get about where you really don't see everything and you have to score what you see. If you're scoring what you think, then that's not always so. Sometimes when someone throws that jab, the guy doesn't get hit, but they move their head back and it looks like they were hit. So if you score that, that's not fair. So, I have to stick up for the judges because it is a hard job, and I'd say most are very fair and want to do the right job. But I like what you're saying, Prophet, that we should do some experimenting because I wish it was like fencing where everything was electronic and when you touched, the score just went out and then nobody could question it. What about you, Eric? What do you think?
Well, personally, I thought the 114-114 score, I thought it was pretty ridiculous. I do agree judging is a hard job in boxing. Sometimes you got close rounds where, it's hard to say who won the round. It's like a coin toss. Well, who should I give this round to? But 114-114, when Mayweather was clearly dominating the fight, I just couldn't agree with that at all. Like I couldn't understand what C.J. Ross was watching, and then the fact that she gave the Bradley Pacquiao fight to Bradley, there's something needs to be done there, and I don't see how they just, let this stuff go on. I don't understand it. But personally, I had Mayweather, with a shutout. I didn't really have Canelo winning any rounds. I mean, I could have given him maybe 1 or 2 rounds, but that's about it. So, with the judging, it's that we got to get this right, because it's giving boxing a black eye, and we can't have that.
Well, we have to remember that judges are human beings, and like I said, it's if we could do fencing where everything was electronic, we would get rid of the human element. It probably could be better, but like in the amateur boxing, we're now doing 10-point must system like the pros, not as many rounds, but it's not as easy as everyone always said. I mean, you have to concentrate. You have to make sure, especially in the pros, where they're wearing whatever they want to wear. The color of the gloves are different. At least in amateur boxing, you have to have a red gloves and you have to have blue gloves. So you pretty much can tell who's from which corner. I mean, I just, I think people are very hard on the judges, and if you want to really be critical, then you should become a judge yourself so you can see what it's like. But I'm not against exploring avenues to find out what would be the best position of a judge at the ring, in a skybox, higher or lower, because some of us are low and you're looking up. That's what I think. But I can't really blame her for her score. I mean, at least she had it as a draw and she didn't have Canelo. Profit, come on, if she had Canelo, that would be different, but she didn't. So.
Yeah, and if she had Canelo win, forget about it. We'd still be reading about it today in the press. If it was politically motivated, then she should just basically not have a high-profile fight again. But the only way I could possibly defend her is to say that I've gone to fights live and taped fights on the DVR, and then I went home and I had a completely different scorecard. So that's, if you want to defend her in that sense, boxing is wild that way. You think you're watching a fight live, and then when you watch it on TV, you get different angles, and you see the fight in a whole different light. But it's just annoying to me as a diehard boxing fan that even when they get the decision right, there's a lot of, you saw with the undercard fights. Cano should have won the fight by easy decision. Thea Payne is politically connected to Mayweather. It's a split decision. Carlos Molina seems to beat Ishe Smith easily. Ishe Smith's the politically connected fighter. Molina only wins by split decision. I mean, even when boxing gets it right, they sort of drop the ball because Mayweather's proteges sort of lost more one-sided than they did. But if you're an optimist, then you would say that it was a good night for boxing because all 4 guys that should have won, at least on the scorecards, did win. And so, you take the good with the bad. And I don't know. But I think boxing really needs to get with the times like other sports and experiment and find ways to, make judging more acceptable. Find the flaws and just like you said, judges are human beings, but there's got to be a system. You got to work to make judging better. Like maybe have more seminars, send the judges to, schools or something like that. Just get with the times and make the judges better because we certainly don't want to see, we don't want scandalous decisions to be the norm for the sport we're so passionate about.
Right. Well, they do have clinics, but it's an individual, like it's a human being, and everyone has their own morals and what they want to do. And I'm still going to say that most of the judges are there for the right reason. On another note, I just want to say from Real Combat Media, there's a quote from Angel Garcia, Danny's father, that said that the fight between Danny and Floyd would be the holy war because they are 2 fighters that are destined by God to be great. I thought that was quite a quote. So maybe we'll see Danny Garcia and Floyd Mayweather. Maybe that the holy war, instead of calling it the one, they'll call it the holy war. And you know what? We're down to a minute. So I want to thank everybody for coming. Prophet and Eric, I really enjoyed your breakdowns of the fights today. Thank you both for being on the show. Bye,
Thank
guys.
you for having
Thanks
me.
for being on the show. Thank you. Thank you, Prophet, as always, being my co-host.
My pleasure.
Well, awesome. And it went way too fast. But before we go, I just want to tell you that we will be back on October 8th, Tuesday, October 8th at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, with episode number 30. And thank you for joining us. This has been another great show. I really enjoyed speaking to Robert Garcia and Mikey Garcia and Chuy Santillan about building champions, Los Garcias. It was a great show today, and I loved, the breakdowns and talking about the fights. Thank you for joining us on Real Combat Media Boxing Radio, and have a fantastic week.